My Billionaires Games by J.L. Gold. Level 6, Track 5, 1, 2, and 3 of 3 at Kollosum McGrady, the mansion of McGrady, a CEO of a major corporation. Here, in Part 1 of Level 6, or Chapter 6, we learn a great deal more. We meet a few more characters. We meet Dodati Eudora, the editor of the Tale Tattle. We meet Dubois, a reporter for the Tale Tattle. We meet... Is this the first time we are meeting McGrady? Here on Level 6, Track 5. Oh, yes, indeed. This is the first time we are meeting McGrady. So by now, on Track 5, which is the track of the multimillionaires, we've met Leva Scudo, the CEO of a major food conglomerate. And also on Track 5, we've met Rand Nafka, the CEO of a major corporation. And now here, in Chapter 6, also on Track 5, we are meeting McGrady, a CEO of a major corporation. We are meeting McGrady's spouse, Taka Gorde, and we are also meeting Dodati Eudora, the iconic editor of the Tale Tattle, and we are meeting one of Dodati's reporters, Dubois, who is waiting outside the Kollosum or mansion of McGrady. What we understand here is that McGrady's wealth status, as it's reported on the Unity Wealth Tracker, the WT2, is close to 1 billion, and so the police services of the Thought Police of the Tale Tattle, very interesting to note here that the Tale Tattle, a tabloid journal, has a police service entailed to it, and they are all waiting outside the Kollosum or mansion of McGrady to arrest him the moment his status ticks up to 1 billion. In Part 1 of Level 6, we also learn a little bit about Gold Meadow, and we learn a little bit about Nuo. These are two regions of Yoseburg. Remember or recall that Yoseburg is the capital or primary mega region of the Unity government of Pangaea, and within Yoseburg, there are many subregions or subdistricts. Yoseburg itself is a megapolis, and the subdistricts within it seem to be each on par with a city. For example, each subdistrict generally has within it a population of about 20 to 25 million. For reference or for comparison, the population of New York City is about, 20 to 25 million. The population of all the major cities of the world generally are around, 20 to 25 million or so, give or take a few or more or less million or so. London, Seoul, Tokyo, New York City. These cities are all actually mega cities, and they all actually more or less have populations around 20 to 25 million. And so here, in the first part of Level 6, we learn that the Tale Tattle is headquartered in Nuo, which is a subregion or subdistrict of Yoseburg. We also learn that McGrady, a multimillionaire who is about to become a billionaire, lives in Gold Meadow, and he lives in a very wealthy neighborhood within Gold Meadow. It has gleaming high walls and floating green yards. Again, here, reinforcing this notion that most things in Unity society seem to be elevated off the ground in one way or the other. The first part of Level 1 focuses primarily on a conversation between this reporter, Dubois, and the editor of the Tale Tattle. Dubois is on site outside of the mansion or Kollosum, and Dodati, the editor, is checking in on the progress of the arrest, because they know that McGrady's wealth status, as it's reported via the Unity Wealth Tracker or the WT2, is about to hit 1 billion. Dodati, the editor, calls the reporter Dubois because Dodati is concerned that McGrady has just been cited at the CAF Club. Amusingly, Dodati says the name of the club incorrectly, and it's noted here the editor rarely says the name of the club correctly. Dubois, the reporter, does try to correct and say that it is the CAF Club. Dubois, the reporter, is unconcerned about the potential for McGrady to be at the CAF Club instead of inside his mansion. As far as the reporter Dubois is concerned, it doesn't matter if it's a body clone or the prime. Both will be caught, both will be apprehended and acquisitioned either way. Either Juan McGrady or Juan McGrady's body clone will wind up in the arena, and then the one who doesn't wind up in the arena will still be arrested anyway. In Dubois' esteemed opinion, justice will be served one way or the other. The editor concedes to the reporter and says, "Fine, stay outside the mansion." Clearly the implication here is if they have eyes on the body clone at the calf club, then there's likely a police service presence prepared to arrest the body clone at the calf club. More than likely, just like they scoop up Juan McGrady here at the mansion, they're very likely, of course, going to scoop up the body clone at the calf club. So here, in the first part of level 6, we have received a great deal of information, new information. And so the author here is still building out the world, a world in which it is not safe to be a billionaire, which of course is quite inverted from the world that we are familiar with. Essentially, here in part 1 of chapter 6 or level 6, we are learning about the editor, we are learning about the reporter, and we are learning about the apparatus or the social, governmental, public, political, legal institutions in place to ensure that anyone who achieves billionaire status is arrested. Now that we have summarized part 1 of level 6, let's take a closer look at the first paragraph. There's a great deal of information packed in this small little paragraph, which essentially is introducing you to the iconic editor of the Tale Tattle. The chapter opens with Dadati asking, without saying hello, there's no how are you doing, it's simply, do you have a location for him? And the editor is asking this because, as we see here in the third paragraph, Juan McGrady, the target for arrest, has been spotted at the calf club. You'll recall that the calf club is located in Umamanda, and it's popular with the multimillionaire class. And so the editor is calling the reporter to ensure that someone has eyes on either Juan McGrady or Juan McGrady's body clone, one or the other. Note the words here used in the first paragraph to describe the editor, legendary and iconic editor-in-chief of the Tale Tattle, among the most respected members of the thought police of Pangaea. The Tale Tattle is Pangaea's largest and most read tabloid journal, and both Dadati and the Tale Tattle are headquartered in the Nuo region of Yoseburg. We don't know much about Dadati Udora, but we have learned a lot. If someone is legendary or iconic, they've likely been the editor-in-chief of the Tale Tattle for quite some time. They're very respected. They're a member of the thought police of Pangaea. Oh, what is this thought police of Pangaea? Newspapers? The editor-in-chief? These are all members of the thought police? It's interesting. It's something to think about. Here in this first paragraph, we also get a mention of yet another subregion or subdistrict of Yoseburg. This one is called Nuo. And even though we are told nothing else about Nuo, we know that the Tale Tattle is headquartered there, and it's Pangaea's largest and most read tabloid journal. I'm going to venture a guess that Nuo might likely be a place where many of the media entities of Yoseburg might possibly be headquartered. And now we come to the second paragraph in Level 6, Part 1. And this one concerns Gold Meadow, and it concerns the reporter Dubois. And what do we learn about Gold Meadow? We already should know. We've had a mention of Gold Meadow before, quite possibly, but here we get a little more detail. We learn that the reporter feels squeezed in by the immense wealth of the neighborhood, all gleaming high walls and floating green yards. So we get a sense of what this wealthy neighborhood of Gold Meadow might be like. Here we have yet another iteration of the fact that very little on Pangaea seems to be built directly on the ground. We get the sense of things floating above the ground. Primarily in this paragraph, however, what we learn most about is the reporter Dubois. We learn that they're a photojournalist, and as a member of the Tale Tattle paper, the most popular paper on Pangaea, if not beyond, we learn that Dubois is considered a member of the paparazzi. And what is the role of reporters in Unity Society? Newspapers, members of the media, are all considered to be under the umbrella of the thought police of Pangaea. Interesting. Something to think about. And what is the role of this reporter? The role of the reporter is to track illegal body clone swappers. And What do members of the paparazzi, such as Dubois, do? They work on site to conduct their body clone swapping and fake identity investigations, as the social streams of multimillionaires cannot be expected to be true to life. If we think about the way we live now, where everyone, or most everyone, that you see online, in media, in photos, in photo video streams perhaps, are all filtered or retouched or edited in some way, they cannot be trusted. And so what we see here is that the role of the paparazzi in the society as a member of a tabloid journal, which is a member of the thought police of Pangaea, the role of the paparazzi here is to photo, video suspects, criminals, whoever else, to ensure that they have an accurate record of what the multimillionaires look like. And why are they doing this? Because they need to know if they are arresting the actual multimillionaire who has become a billionaire, or if they are accidentally arresting their body clone. And so now we see in this ultra-futuristic society, remember this is set in the year 46 or something thousand? It's set sometime in the future, and people have body clones. Therefore, if you're going to arrest someone, you need to know, are you arresting the prime, the actual individual, or are you arresting their body clone? And so here, in the first part of level 6, or chapter 6, we learn a great deal about Dubois. The second paragraph, yes, is of course yet another information dump. However, it's also introducing you to this character, the reporter, and how crucial their role is. We do get a little bit of color about the reporter. We learn that they wear a reporter's hat. We learn that they carry a telephoto lens. And I imagine in the future, this telephoto lens of the reporter is more than likely quite powerful and above and beyond whatever telephoto lenses we have today, which are quite powerful, because they really need to know who are they taking photo videos of, who's actually being arrested here. We learn that reporters can hover outside their mansions. Remember hovering in the air car? We learn that they can be undercover in their clubs. And all of this is to ensure that when they reach billionaire status, if they obtain billionaire status, remember you're not supposed to, but if they do, they need to know, are we arresting the prime, or are we simply arresting the body clone of that prime? These first two paragraphs together are telling you a lot about this world. The reporter even has a thought police-issued vehicle. Imagine a world where reporters report on crime and their reports lead to actual arrests and prosecutions. This does in a way happen in our world, in our timeline, but not quite in this way, where the thought police has a police service. The Tale has police service presence on site for the arrest, and they report to the newspaper. They are reporting to Dubois, and Dubois is reporting to the editor-in-chief. There is an entire apparatus designed to arrest any individual who obtains billionaire status, because it is illegal to be a billionaire. And anyone who obtains billionaire status, if you will recall, we know by the end of level 3, we know that if you are a billionaire, you're going to be arrested and sent to the Vermette Arena. So we know by now here on level 6, it's not a good thing to be a billionaire. Overall, what we can say about the first two paragraphs of level 6 is that it's making explicit and clear that the relationship between reporting and the police is direct. Whereas I would say in our society, it's very indirect. And reports might lead to prosecutions, but reporters and editors-in-chief cannot directly instigate a prosecution. Whereas here, it's very clear the relationship between the police service and the newspapers is more than direct. They are all part of the same apparatus. They are all part of the thought police of Pangaea. As we move further down the first part of level 6, we learn that the Dottie is concerned that the target for arrest, McGrady, has been spotted at the calf club. Dubois, the reporter, however, pushes back and says, it doesn't matter. We're going to stay here at the mansion. Because as far as the reporter is concerned, and as far as Unity Society in general is concerned, if they arrest a body clone at the mansion, it doesn't matter. It's stated here that the reporter feels the way the rest of Unity Society does. The body clones are the fruit of the poisonous prime. So if they arrest the body clone by mistake and send the body clone to the arena, no one really cares, as long as the prime is still apprehended and acquisitioned. Towards the end of the first part of level 6, we learn why body clones are a potential issue. They can be used as decoys. They can be arrested in the place of the prime being the source. For example, if you had a body clone, he would be the prime, the source of your body clone. And then you should hopefully begin to understand why there is this entire apparatus devoted to tracking the movements of the multimillionaires in real time, because we can't trust what they post online. If they're acting and you see them in a movie, you cannot trust what they look like. You cannot trust what's being shown to you. You can only trust what you see with your eye. And so the reporters here in this world are keeping track of what everyone looks like in real life. Because even if you have a body clone, it's not going to be exactly like you. It's simply impossible for it to be exactly like you. For example, identical twins may look alike. However, they're not going to be exactly the same. There are some differences in movement, look, possibly minute details. But I'm guessing if you have a telephoto lens in this era, in the year 46,000 something, I'm guessing your telephoto lens combined with some software can tell you this is how this person lifts their glass. This is how that person lifts their glass. So even though they look alike, this person is this and this person is that. So if it's twins, it's twin A, twin B. If we're talking about body clones and primes, the prime lifts their glass this way, body clone does it this way. Now here, we understand why this entire apparatus, the thought police of Pangaea, what they're doing and what their purpose is. They probably report on other things too, but in a world where it's illegal to be a billionaire, and in a world where body clones are running around, and the multiplicity of problems this can cause in terms of law enforcement, this is clearly a high priority for the thought police of Pangaea. Moving into part 2 of level 6. In part 2 of level 6, we go inside the Kollosum of McGrady, a multimillionaire who is about to become a billionaire. And we learn he has a wall TV. It's painted on the largest wall in the greeting hall of Kollosum McGrady. We have that technology today. And so this is not necessarily a new technology. This television must be massive. It must be very large. In this first paragraph, we learn a little bit more about the Thought Police Service action, which is occurring outside the mansion. We learn that they are at the bottom of his long driveway. We know that they're hovering in the air above the Kollosum, and they're in the air below the Kollosum as well. So another reiteration of this idea that things in the society in the year 46,000 and something, things are mainly elevated off the ground in one way or the other. Just a little reminder that we are in the future here. We also learn that McGrady is still wearing his violet CEO's uniform. We don't know why he's still wearing his violet CEO's uniform, rather than having changed into his more luxurious personal wear, but we can maybe guess. This is an awful day. Things probably haven't been going his way. Maybe when he usually comes home on a good day, he changes, but this is not a good day. Today is a bad day for him, and he's still in his violet CEO's uniform. Meanwhile, his spouse is wearing a spectacular, bespoke white dress. And so this is very clearly not a uniform. I'm guessing it must be luxurious personal wear. And the spouse, Takagorde, is very unhappy with him. The bulk of this second section or part of level 6 is devoted to this argument between the spouses, where maybe we can think about what it would be like if your spouse was suddenly about to be arrested and you're about to be left, and Takagorde is screaming at him things that may be justified. Promised me I'd never have to live there. You promised me I'd never have to go to the UGG home. So now we have here another mention of UGG homes. And so now here, hopefully, it's explicit to you that UGG homes are definitely not Kollosums. Kollosums are mansions. UGG homes are provided by the government. And so what we're learning here is that they don't have to live in this mansion. They could just live in an UGG home. They have an UGG home. But of course, as multimillionaires, and now McGrady is a billionaire, and so going to be arrested, they live in a Kollosum. They live in a mansion. They live in Gold Meadow. they are not going to be living in an UGG home. They are not going to be living in a government-provided home. Here in part 2 of level 6, we get only a hint of maybe how or why Juan McGrady has hit 1 billion. We don't really know. We don't know if it has something to do with his company, as with Love Escudo trying to manage their profits so that they make profit, but not too much profit. We don't know if he's been gamed, as Rand Nakva was by Manat Tang, who you may recall in level 3 instigated a short run on Rand's company stock, which sent Rand's company stock soaring in valuation and therefore causing everyone who is a board member, a major stockholder, or an executive become dangerously close to 1 billion in wealth, including Rand. Now here, on level 6, we only get a hint of why possibly this particular CEO, Juan McGrady, has hit 1 billion. Taka Gordy says, "You were trading low. You were so close." This is the only hint we get. And so if Juan McGrady was trading low and he was clearly trying to manage his wealth, he was trading low, the value of his stock wasn't high, and yet suddenly, somehow, his wealth has pushed over to 1 billion. And you may ask yourself, especially in the case of where it's more explicit with Love Escudo, where they're trying to manage their profit, but not make too much profit, we can ask ourselves, the common sense thing, the rational thing would be to increase the value and lower costs. Both of these things would reduce their profit margin, but you'll note they want to reduce their profit margin only so much. They're playing, in essence, a game of profit roulette, perhaps? So we don't know what kind of games McGrady was playing to try and keep making money, but not too much money. But apparently, according to the spouse here, he was trading low. The other thing that we can pick up on here is that Take Gordy is not going to be arrested because Juan McGrady has achieved 1 billion in wealth. And so we may infer here the implication might be, or maybe is, that wealth is accounted for on an individual basis. Juan McGrady might now be worth 1 billion, but not Juan McGrady's spouse. Because Juan McGrady makes it very explicit, you can all go to their UGG home. They're going to be evicted. But in a society where the government provides you a home, Take Gordy and whatever children they have are not going to be homeless. They can go to their UGG home. Towards the end of part 2 of level 6, their argument is interrupted. Someone from the thought police of Pangaea calls out to them the official words. Juan McGrady, your Unity Wealth status is confirmed U1B. You are now BMI ne Wema. How you choose to enter Vermette Arena is up to you. As a refresher, U1B stands for Unity Above 1 Billion. And so instead of saying you've attained billionaire status, you're now a billionaire, they say U1B, Unity Above 1 Billion. And they also say in this formal arrest, this formal verbiage, they say you are now BMI ne Wema. And so BMI, that's the acronym for being a billionaire. So you are now a billionaire. Ne, meaning formally, Wema. Wema being U1MA. Unity 1 million above. And so they were simply, Juan McGrady was simply a multimillionaire, somebody with unity above 1 million. Now they're U1B. Now they're a billionaire. And so that's where BMI, ne Wema, comes from. Then we come to the third or final part of level 6 or chapter 6, and now we are back outside the Kollosum, or the mansion of Juan McGrady, and Dubois is chuckling and laughing, and apparently Juan McGrady chose to be hogtied. So the implication is, instead of walking tall in the face of the arrest, the thought police service officers had to hogtie him and carry him on out. Dubois is enjoying the arrest. They're sending the photo video stream directly back out to the editor. The PC baw data, recalling that PC stands for partner clone, says that this is done. And you can see how convenient it is to have a partner clone, just as in our society, how convenient it is to have an air quotes smartphone. You get the sense here that people may have call glasses, people may have telelinks installed, a chip somewhere. There's analog phones, there's UGG homes. There's partner clones, and these partner clones, pretty darn handy. The partner clone mentions that their initial bioscan confirms it's Juan McGrady Prime. I imagine in the year 46 something something in this society, bioscan might entail some different things than what we might consider a bioscan. If they're a member of the thought police of Pangaea, my guess is that body scan likely also includes a scan of the thought police archive regarding the Prime versus potentially the Prime's body clones. And so the PC is saying, we've done an initial scan, and based on our initial scan, this is the Prime. This is OneRepublic. Whoever is at the CAF Club is probably the body clone. Now keep in mind, both are going to be picked up. So as far as anyone's concerned, besides the editor, no one really cares. Both will face justice. In the course of this conversation that Dubois has with the editor-in-chief of the Tale Tattle, we learn that Takagori, the spouse of OneRepublic, has clawed back a planned UVN donation. And so this says to us that perhaps one strategy that OneRepublic was trying to use to keep under a certain amount of wealth, to keep under $1 billion, was to donate to a UVN. And a UVN, it is mentioned briefly, I want to say, on level 2, but a Unity Verified National, that's a UVN or a guild, is a civilian association, and some associations are localized, some are regional, some may reach all across Pangaea, possibly further. The core of UVNs or guilds is that the accounting of such is public. Some UVNs might be, for example, one that we have mentioned before in these discussions is the Seamstress Tailors Guild. The acronym for them is FIT, FIT. There might be a guild for drag racing. There might be a guild for gambling. These are civilian associations, and you can apparently donate money to them in order to reduce your wealth if you so wish. And so we don't know what UVN he planned to donate to. All we know is that she clawed the money back, the spouse did, and that clawed back money, according to the editor, could be why OneRepublic hit U1B or billionaire status. In fact, here in part 3 of level 6, what we essentially have is an information, or in this case, an exposition dump between the editor and the reporter. Dodati and Dubois are talking about the money. And so what we essentially have here is a third example of how someone might find themselves suddenly becoming a billionaire when clearly they had not planned to be. They had planned to remain under U1B. They had not planned to achieve billionaire status. These examples in level 1 with Levascudo, level 3 with Rand Nakva, and here in level 6 with McGrady, we have 3 different examples of how someone might become a billionaire against their will. And this hopefully answers the question of why would anyone become a billionaire in a society where it's illegal to become a billionaire? Now we have seen 3 separate examples of just how that might happen. In level 1, we see it's because Levascudo and the executives with him are essentially playing a game of profit roulette. Let's make money, but not too much money. And then on level 3 with Rand Nakva, we see that Manat Tang has instigated a short run on Rand's stock, thereby sending the value of his stock through the roof. And here, on level 6, what we see is, we're not sure, is this gossip? Is this truth? This is the editor of a newspaper and the reporter talking about what they think happened. And what they think happened is the spouse, Takagori, clawed back a donation. In fact, that's not gossip, actually. That's fact. Takagori did this thing. Is it the one thing that pushed McGrady over $1 billion? We don't know. According to Takagori, he was trading low. His stock value wasn't high. Why is he suddenly a billionaire? The Dati here is saying, oh, it was the donation she clawed back. So whatever McGrady was trying to do to stay under $1 billion, his spouse allegedly undermined him. By the end of level 6, everyone concludes, the authorities conclude, police service officer, the photographer, they conclude the McGrady at the CAF Club was probably his body clone, and it was probably a decoy designed to perhaps draw the police to the CAF Club in Umamanda instead of to McGrady's mansion in Gold Meadow. Here in part 3 of level 6, we also have a mention of another character, someone by the name of Florin Pula, who seems to be the lover of the spouse, who seems to be Takagori's friend. There is a lot to chew on here in level 6, and I would say here, by level 6, the author has effectively, by now, given you the bulk of the information that you'll find on the website about how this game works. To sum up level 6, I would say that here, by now, by the end of part 3 of level 6, you have received the bulk of the rules and regulations and information you would have read on the website. How people become billionaires, whether willingly or not so willingly, and the apparatus that exists to arrest them and bring them to justice. We do have a couple of needle drops for level 6. There's a needle drop in the first part when we are outside the Kollosum of McGrady, and that's the song Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift. And then in part 2 of level 6, we receive another big needle drop. This one is Apologize by Timbaland featuring OneRepublic. And then for part 3 of level 6, there isn't a needle drop. So let's take a look at these needle drops. Regarding the big needle drop for part 1 of level 6, which is Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift, perhaps the question to ask here is, who is the anti-hero? Who are we talking about here? In this chapter, we meet many characters. We meet, of course, the title character, McGrady, yet another multimillionaire about to become a billionaire. We meet Dodati Udora, the legendary and iconic Dodati Udora. We meet the reporter Dubois. We meet Takagorde. We meet PC Ba Data. PC Ba Data being Dubois' partner clone. And we meet a random police service officer. Actually, a few of them are there. Actually, many of them are there to arrest McGrady. Who might we say is the anti-hero here? Is it Dodati Udora? Is it Dubois the reporter? Just something to think about. And then we come to part 2 of level 6, where the big needle drop is Apologize by Timbaland, featuring OneRepublic. This needle drop seems relatively straightforward. Someone needs to apologize to someone. Does McGrady need to apologize to Takagorde? Or who needs to apologize to whom? Just something else to think about. And to conclude this discussion of level 6, is this our first mention of body clones? I believe it might be, and so now here we have yet another new technology. In this case, it's body clones, not to be confused with partner clones. Body clones, meaning they are a clone of some prime. In this case, there's a body clone of McGrady, the prime. The body clone is spotted at the Cath Club. So in conclusion, overall, it's a great deal of information packed into level 6. Just as there's a great deal of information packed into each preceding level, as the author is building out the world to bring you into a believable future where realistically you could be arrested for being a billionaire. This concludes our discussion of level 6, parts 1, 2, and 3. I'd like to thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. Please like, follow, or subscribe, and I'd like to mention all of the primary chapters are or will be available via the Reddit. However, the Apocrypha for the book is available only via the book because it is very spoilery. But again, thank you so much. Please consider a like or subscribe or follow. And in the name of fairness, please be well.